On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt will debate who was more powerful, Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader. Did the Chosen One get weaker embracing the dark side, or did it give him unlimited power? Stay tuned to find out. And of course, he'll end the show with Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey now, everybody! Let's use a radio voice today. What do you say? What do you know? Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. I could be an announcer at a stadium, don't you think? Hey there, we got Michael Kramer in the live stream chat. It's always good to see him in there. And he's asking a question, super chat, in fact, type of question. Thank you, Michael Kramer. We appreciate that. Asking, could we do a Discord chat on my birthday? I'm so old, Kramer, I don't even know what that is, but I'll do whatever you need me to do. You just want me to get in there and text with you, to give you a ring, just to wish you a happy birthday. I think I can handle that. So I guess we'll talk offline in the Discord. Let me know what you need, because I do appreciate your support. Especially when you're throwing around those $10 bills. Hey, look at that. We got League in here dropping the Grogu drinking a beer. If you want to do that yourself, all you got to do is consider joining the channel membership. You can do that below in the description for as low as $1.99. You'll get the Vader cat next to your name in chat and access to custom emojis. Hold on. Let me hack up my lung here. I don't know what the hell that was. Hey, look at this. Scion XTC coming in on the vertical stream. Dig it. Saying it should be working, but SWS is more important. Thank you, Scion. That makes me feel special. I want to shout out Mando Pirate for his YouTube viewing preferences. We're number one. We beat Beyond the Dune Sea and Rebel Force Radio and the full-on Star Wars YouTube channel. So we're winning. We're winning. League's throwing out some cash money. All right, let's have some fun today. Got a fun special topic. I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, it's probably a topic that would have been better to have young Nick here, my co-host, to riff with me. But I think I can turn it into something. I'm going to explore who was more powerful at their peak, Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, or Darth Vader, the guy in the suit. We've got some opinions from fans that we'll address in the Question of the Week section of the show. But I've got some thoughts, and it's going to be a structured debate with myself and anyone else that is in the live stream chat right here. So that's going to be this week's main segment. But of course, we've got some other tried and true segments that we do on the SWTS week in and week out, whether we're live like today. Whenever you see just me, that means we're live. Whenever you see me and young Nick with his super duper camo hat, that means we're doing a pre-record with an instant premiere. So, tons to talk about today. I got some Star Wars news to kind of hit on and recap. The Star Wars X Columbia collab was revealed today, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. This is the first time in years that I can remember looking at that collab and going, if I wasn't a sycophant, I could probably skip this year completely. But I digress. We'll get there. And then, of course, like I said, the Anakin v. Vader. And, of course, our fan segment where we have two ways for fans to get involved in each and every episode of SWTS. That's right. We want you to come with us. We want you to be honored. We want your thoughts to be heard. So to get down with the SWTS fan segment, two ways to get involved. If you're into art, creating things, that's one way. Or you could just look for our Question of the Week post and respond to that. We've been struggling to get responses on Question of the Week. I don't know what's going on. I think Star Wars in general is kind of in a lull. That's why we've been talking about a potential rebrand. So all our SEO and web stuff isn't just tied to Star Wars. I mean, as much as this show, if or when we do rebrand, will still be Star Wars focused, we need to open up the tent, if you will, a little bit. So we've been riffing on some new channel names, new brand names. It's going to be tough to throw away the SWTS. I mean, it's like ingrained in my soul at this point in time. Meet, mop, meet, moo. See, this is what happens when I have to talk by myself. Sometimes I get a little. But here we go. I'll kind of read off the top 5 Nick and I have it down to. And listen, I don't know how soon we're going to get to this rebranding, if we ever get to it. I think it is probably going to happen. Just give us something to do. Not that I need more to do with this damn channel, but you never know. Sometimes a fresh start is a good thing, irregardless of what you're doing in life. But here's what we got so far as the top 5. And we haven't even vetted some of these to see if they haven't been taken. We had a really good one. It was called the, what was it? Rogue Signal, but someone already took that, so we had to cut it. So I think right now our top 5 still, I probably shouldn't announce these, right? We'll keep these in the Discord, because I can trust the Discord fam to not go out and start their own channel using one of these names. So if you're interested in our top 5 right now, I know we've been riffing on some of them with you all in Discord, which again, hey, open link. Come have some fun. I would say we're a Star Wars community that aren't a bunch of like pussies, but we're also not the angry type. You know, we're not like the theories of the world. So if you want to come in and still feel positive about Star Wars and not be scared that you're going to get shit on or told you're stupid because, hey, maybe you like The Last Jedi or you like The Acolyte, you can come in and play with us in the SWTS Discord, which, who knows, maybe someday it'll change its name just like everything else. That's honestly one of the main things or main reasons I'm not jumping on this rebrands, because I know I'm going to have to do all the behind the scenes work. So changing the graphics you see here, figuring out a logo, maybe a new color scheme, maybe a new saying, you never know. So we'll get there, maybe. Just depends on how this guy feels at a certain point in time. I feel pretty good today. Had a good holiday last week. Hopefully everyone else did. I will say I think I overindulged on Thanksgiving itself, and by that when I drink the brown water, what you people call bourbon, and you sickos that say you like it and it tastes good, like you're crazy. There's no way. Deep down, there's no way a single human thinks liquor actually tastes good unless it's mixed in other drinks. I just don't get it. So you people out there like, hey, this Pappy Van Winkle's worth $40,000. It tastes great. No, it doesn't. I guarantee you it tastes a little bit like rubbing alcohol with some barrel flavor to it. So last Thursday, the neighbor, he's a big bourbon guy. I might have snuck two sniffs, if you will, and proceeded to delete the rest of the night. So that's one reason I stay away from the brown water, as I call it. It doesn't matter. I could have a shot. I could have excessive amounts of it. Irregardless of the amount of brown water I consume, my brain just deletes, like blacks out. And that doesn't make me feel good in life. So we're going to have to slow down on that type of shit, if you know what I mean. All right, let's get the old subscribe button up there. If you're not subbed yet, or if you're watching this and it's not live, hey, do the sub. Doesn't take any effort, doesn't cost you a thing. If you do want to start throwing some cheese at us, remember, you can always join the channel down below. All right, so let's kick things off with a little Ask Us Anything. Got some good questions this week. Those that did pose questions, if you don't hear your question asked tonight, don't worry, they'll be around next week. I want people to keep questions coming nonstop, all right? Nonstop. Just keep feeding us questions. We'll keep in an archive if we get too many per week. But some weeks we hardly get any. So to kind of keep that train rolling, this week I held a few back for next week when my buddy Young Nick comes around. Oh, if you haven't heard the news, if you didn't check out last week's pre-record, Young Nick and his lady love Taylor have finally gotten engaged. I think they've been together for like 7 or 8 years. They've owned multiple homes together. So I was happy to hear that news from my guy. And I guess the one thing that kind of is like, is like this 45-year-old's going to have to dust off the wedding gear one more time. It's been kind of nice getting out of that wedding phase of your life. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, in your 20s and 30s, you know, friends, family, they're all getting married. It feels like you're going to like 2 or 3 weddings a year for a good clip of those decades of your life. And then it kind of tapers off a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see. But I feel like I have to go down and celebrate young Nick. It's probably going to be in New Orleans. I've never been to proper New Orleans, only Baton Rouge. So it'll be a party with the SWTS crew, if you know what I mean. League saying, I'm so bad at the question segment, so not creative. Oh, come on. You can ask anything, you know. Hey, why is the sky blue? That's a great question, right? You never know what my dumbass will come up with. So speaking of Ask Me Anything, let's go ahead and get those pulled up so I can start riffing through them. Like I said, there were some fun ones in there this week. I like when people throw me some curveballs. There's some FMKs. Those are always my favorite, especially some of the characters, some of the lineups you all are giving me. So you guys are demented. You know what I mean? All right, let's see. Yeah, my buttons already are not working. Hey, come on. Stream Deck people, will you please fix your shit? Like an update broke all this. This isn't me and my crappy technology. This is you guys at this point in time, all right? So please help me out. Fix it. I just want to hit my buttons on the deck and have the stuff do what it's supposed to do. All right, here we go. You know, it's freezing in my house, but I kept my Star Wars hoodie on, and now I'm starting to regret that. Whenever I get in this seat, whenever I start riffing, I start sweating. So we'll see. Hopefully I don't get too leaky down here in the armholes. All right, up first and Ask Me Anything. Like I said, we do this every week to kick off the show. Just follow us on our socials, look for the prompt, reply, and it's going to get asked at some point in time. So we got Baron's Black Series, our good buddy there, Spencer, asking, are you caught up on Stranger Things? No, I'm not. Haven't even fired it up yet. And I'll tell you why. It's not like I'm not boycotting it. I just have a hard time with a show that takes 2, 3, 4 years between seasons and expects you to just dive right back in, especially when the seasons are typically 9 episodes long. Some of the episodes are an hour and a half apiece. So there's a lot of narrative in S1 through 4 that I'm not familiar with anymore because it took so long to get season 5. So I've been stalling, trying to figure out my best path back to Stranger Things. Is it just diving in and saying, fuck it, right? Who fucking cares in the end? Let's just see where this series goes in season 5. Is it maybe going back and checking out specific episodes that the Duffer Brothers mentioned that you should watch to get ready for season 5? Is it a full rewatch of S1 through S4, maybe with the family who hasn't watched it yet? Or do I just fire up a YouTube recap and go for it? So I don't know what you guys are, what you guys suggest, but that's kind of where I'm at. Right. What do you mean is my mic on? I'm pretty sure everyone can hear me, right? Don't scare me like that, Kramer. You guys in those chats, you worry me sometimes. I mean, it's warranted. We do have technical mishaps all the time, but just let me know if you're not hearing me. I think everyone's hearing me. All right. We got League saying the reason why I wait until show's over before watching it, the delay between it just sucks. Oh, League. So you haven't, League? Are you saying you haven't watched any Stranger Things? You're waiting for the whole series to play out, then you're going to watch it. All right. That's interesting. Dig it. All right. So I am not caught up. I really don't know what to do. I feel kind of crippled at this point in time. So we'll see. I'm definitely going to consume it. I've watched the other 4 seasons, so why not? It's just me, someone that likes lore and narrative and seeing how the plot connects throughout a series. I'm kind of hung up on that right now. All right, here we go. Next question. Oh, that's a Zoom, not next question. Hey, here we go. Coming from League. League, this is a good question. What do you mean this is not creative? This is a good one. Because, you like me, you live in the North, so you experience 4 seasons, and it does drastically affect what you can do in your life. I mean, typically throughout the warmer months, so end of March, more like April through end of October, there's a lot of stuff to do. I like doing stuff outside. I got the One Wheel. I wish I bought their Antic bike. I don't know if anyone saw that One Wheel. They made a new mini bike that just is to die for. So, I'm out one wheeling, I'm out golfing, I'm out, fucking around on the deck, hanging outside, listening to music, trying to finish, do house projects, shit like that. But when the winter comes, it gets pretty miserable. I mean, it's been in the 20s and 30s for the past few days. We had a snow day yesterday for the kids and even my college closed, so it was that bad. And you are kind of locked in the house. So, League, what I tend to do when things cool down is I'll get back to gaming. I pretty much didn't game all summer, most of the fall. Just started gaming again probably a month ago with Ghosts of Yote. So I'll definitely pick up my video gaming. Hopefully we'll stick on the words and shit train. So I hope to keep reading. I'm on book 6 of Foundation. So working through that. But the kitchen remodel's almost done, so there's going to be other projects in the house to kind of put the house back together. We're going to try to finish out the dining room, and everything the kitchen remodel blew up will need to be replaced. Like, they had to use the basement, so a lot of my toy area had to be torn down, which means I got to put up like 500 fucking Funko Pops again. So I think that's pretty much what I will be getting into. And for the first time in a long time, I got a season pass to go skiing at one of the hills. It's not a mountain in Ohio. It's a hill here about 50 minutes, an hour away. So I hope to do a lot of skiing in this dark, cold winter. And of course, the gaming with friends will continue. Every weekend we kind of have game nights with the neighbors. So that will pick up. And it'll be a lot warmer than being out on the deck in November like we were trying to do. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, League agreeing. Winter's a good time to game. I mean, listen, League, I used to game year-round. That was my main thing until I got out of the gaming media, and it's kind of fallen off by the wayside with this stupid-ass Star Wars shit I keep trying to do in terms of content creation. So, League, I think that was a good question. Don't beat yourself up. Okay. All right. Up next, here we go. EKU, Rory, and Cyan. I know you're in here. I'm saving your FMK for next week, but I did get your other questions, so fear not. You will be represented today, my friend. But EKU, Rory, got the FMK this week, and he's saying F, marry, kill, Jabba the Hutt, Jar Jar, or Darth Maul. All right. Fuck, this is I honestly, man, this is a good question. This is a really good question, and there's nothing gay about my response, okay? We're just having fun here. I think I'd probably fuck Darth Maul because that dude's probably an animal. We know he's an animal. I mean, he's very animalistic, if anything, but I mean, he's probably wild in bed. So I'm effing Darth Maul. Now, who do I want to kill between Jabba and Jar Jar? I mean, come on. The easy answer is Jar Jar because everyone's like, oh, he's annoying as hell. Yeah, why would you ever want to marry him? But then you're like, well, why would you ever want to marry a gangster space slug? So it's tough here. I think just for my ego and how it loves the idea of power and being in control and people kind of, looking up to me, whether they actually respect me or just have to because they're a minion. I think I'm going to end up marrying Jabba the Hutt and killing our boy Jar Jar. So that's where we are at. So we're effing Maul, marrying Jabba, and killing, sadly, Jar Jar Binks. So sorry, Binks crew. Sorry, EKU Rory. I know that probably upsets you because Jar Jar is your sweetheart. Okay, next question coming from Nick's buddy Phil. We call him Space Phil. Space Phil is asking, better Thanksgiving / Christmas protein, ham or turkey? I'll actually raise you a meat. If it weren't for us doing a Friendsgiving this year, when we do Thanksgiving at home, I'm always grilling filet mignon. Like that to me, I'd rather have a well-seasoned filet than turkey any day. I know turkey and ham, they represent token proteins at these big holidays. But honestly, I'm going to sub in filet for both. But I'll be a good sport. I'll play with Phil. I'm probably at this point in time going to go ham. A good Christmas ham is mighty tasty. Sometimes turkey, if not cooked right, can get really dry. It has a slight gamey taste sometimes. So if gun to head, Phil, I'm going ham. Kramer coming in with the turducken. Absolutely not. That thing just looks like it looks like a mutated mess. I'll leave that for John Madden. I think he's the guy that really made it famous when he used to call the Thanksgiving Day game when we used to only have two Thanksgiving Day games. Now it seems like there's 50. So yeah, there we go. Ham, but ultimately I'd say filet mignon over any of those proteins at Christmas or Thanksgiving. To be honest with you, I'm already floating the idea around here. I forget if it's for Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Doing Chipotle's new, it's almost like self-catering option. I think it's like $60. You get a bucket of protein, 3 sides, two dips, couple bags of chips. Like, does it get any better than that? I don't think so. Okay, next question and Ask Us Anything. We do this every week. Like I said, just make sure you're following our socials, look for the prompt, and leave your question. All right, here comes our boy Kramer. He's always asking questions. I can always rely on the Kramester to get a question in each week, and I can always rely on it being somehow related to football, which, again, I do not mind. I love football just as much as I love the fake science fiction fantasy stuff we talk about. And collecting. Oh, tangent comment. Collecting, speaking of it, did anyone see Bausch Leia Hot Toys? Ha 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 ha! I think the only thing that could have made that set even better, and yes, I did pre-order it, I'm a shithead, is if they included her Slave Leia bikini as like a side option. But I've been wanting another Leia Hot Toy. I only have her Endor version, so I had to snag Bausch Leia Hot Toy. Just looks fantastic. All right, here we go, Kramer. Thoughts on Ohio State beating Michigan for the first time in 6 years? 6 years, you say? The only reason it's 6 years is because Michigan pussed out of the 2020 game and canceled it. All right, so they beat him in 19. Michigan canceled the 2020 version. Then we went into the 4-year skid, Kramer. So I'm going to correct you there. It was a 4-year skid, and it was awful. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was disgusting. I can remember after last year's loss where Ohio State was 1,000 times better than the Michigan team, yet they still lose at home, and then a bunch of bullshit happens at midfield after. I was ready to chase Ryan Day out of town. Then the motherfucker goes on one of the most impressive tears through college football playoffs that anyone has ever seen. And now to me, Ryan Day is a legend. So seeing him get that 4-year monkey off his back was amazing. And I think it was even more amazing. Michigan tried to cheat by killing their headsets in the second half. At the end there, you could see the Michigan players were all trying to start some shit, where Ohio State, they were just chill as fuck. They're not trying to plant any flags. They were just celebrating with the fans. The Michigan guys were like, yeah, we're tough. Just like I said about Ohio State last year, where's that energy during the game? I don't like this bullshit happening between Michigan and Ohio State now after the games when the loser is fronting at midfield. Like, yeah, what? We just got our asses kicked, but what? Like, fuck off, guys. Okay? Fuck off to Ohio State last year for getting involved in that shit. But really, fuck you, Michigan, for planting your flag and being douchebags in your victory. But, and then fuck off to Michigan this year. I mean, look it up. Look up the footage. They just sat there and stood on the M at the 50, and then they were fucking with shit in the hallway. Like I said, they cut Ohio State's communication systems in the game. So I think it's fantastic. I think moving forward now, we're not going to see long stretches of Ohio State losing to Michigan. All right, here we go. Do you think Lane Kiffin should have finished with Ole Miss before going to LSU? Yes, I do. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, Kramer, Ole Miss is the school that told him to go beat it. So I don't know how much you want to blame on Kiffin, but yeah, he should have stayed, just like Hartline is staying with Ohio State through their playoff run, although it's starting to seem like Hartline leaving for USF is impacting National Signing Day today and tomorrow, because Chris Henry Jr. still has not signed. A few other wide receivers have flipped. All I'd like to say to these young kids is, listen, you commit to a program, not a position coach. Ohio State has been a stalwart for decades. They were pumping out first-round wide receivers well before Hartline, and they'll keep doing it. So, chase the money and mediocrity, or come to the best program in the country right now. I think everyone can agree over the past 2 years, Ohio State has become the new Bama. Boom! All right. Oh, he's got one more here. And after Sunday's loss, Kramer, you know my thoughts on this shit. I've been thinking the Steelers should have moved on from Tomlin 5 years ago. I mean, the guy has not won a playoff game in 10 years. I don't care. I mean, this whole 500 season bullshit has never impressed me. I don't give a fuck. Get out of here so we can have a losing season, get some good draft picks, and rebuild. So yes, Tomlin needs to go. Thank you. Holy crap, more questions here. Divided Skywalker, do you drink eggnog? If not, what's your favorite holiday beverage? Oh, I'll definitely do an eggnog. I think eggnog is one of the more interesting tastes out there. It's like cream with some nutmeg and milky. I actually used to work in a dairy, and so we would make it raw. I'd get it right out of the filler. So yeah, I'm definitely down with eggnog. I don't really get into the Christmas beers and shit like that, or Christmas stories. Let's just say bad memories from being in college. Okay. Scion XCC, if you weren't at your current job, what would you have been your career path? That's a good question, Scion. I actually started out in the corporate sector in IT management and manufacturing plants. I worked for the Kroger Corporation, who is pretty massive. Spent 7 years there. Then at 30, I pivoted to academia. But honestly, like, if I wasn't doing what I was doing right now, I believe in my heart of hearts I'd be working on the Howard Stern show. And this isn't me just like speaking it into existence. I can say with full honesty that I interviewed with them at some point in time. I was offered. It just wasn't enough money to move my family to New York City. Plus, I just gotten tenure as a professor, which is a pretty great thing to have as long as it lasts. You never know with this administration. So yeah, I think I'd be working in media entertainment. Specifically on the Stern show, either doing some IT stuff or social media for them. All right. And a last question here coming from our boy Super Scoundrel, a.k.a. Devin the Doty. Your personal must-watch holiday movies. Spencer asked something similar a few weeks back, kind of like my hidden gems or my little secrets ones. So this one I will say must-watch. These days it seems like Christmas Chronicles is on that list, those two movies. But then it's got to be A Christmas Story, got to be Christmas Vacation. And for me, I know they're not holiday movies, but every Christmas I fully rewatch in chronological order the Star Wars saga. So there you go. All right. Man, that was a long Ask Me Anything. I need to start maybe trimming those down. But hey, I appreciate the questions. Love you all. I know I'm missing out on New York City League. Every time I would go there to visit the friend that would have helped me get a job in New York City at Sirius, I'm just mesmerized. I'm a city guy. I always will be. I like big cities. I think they're awesome. I don't know if I'd want to live right in downtown NYC, but I do love to visit. All right, got my heat going on for some reason. Hey, we need to keep the heat down, all right? Sorry, we got some people at home that must be cold. Let me let them know. All right. Okay, so let's shift gears here. Let's get into some Star Wars talk. You know what I mean? Yeah, good job, Kramer. Die Hard is that is another great Christmas flick. Even the second one is kind of Christmas adjacent. But anyways, you know, we still call ourselves Star Wars time, so let's start talking about some Star Wars time, if you know what I mean. We'll go ahead and get the screen switched up, at least on the regular stream. There we go. There we go. All right, before I get to the Anakin Vader debate, there is a little bit of news I want to riff on real quick. First and foremost, over on Reddit, someone threw up a posting from a German Blu-ray site, and I did check out the site. It does seem legit, but the reason it's important is because it listed a synopsis for the film that I have not seen before. So I'll read through it, make a comment, see if it's legit or not, but here we go. So here's the synopsis from this German Blu-ray site for The Mandalorian and Grogu film. The Empire has been defeated and the remnants of its forces scattered to the far corners of the galaxy. Yet some of the former commanders of this dark era still cling to their power and have since become dangerous warlords who continually challenge the peace upheld by the New Republic. To track down and neutralize these cells, Din Djarin, together with his apprentice Grogu, who, after his Jedi training, has joined the Mandalorians, supports the new government. Several clues eventually lead them to the planet Karzoon, where they not only manage to infiltrate an almost forgotten Imperial facility, but Grogu also discovers an ancient artifact that functions as an amplifier of his abilities. Unable to control these new powers, Grogu becomes the target of Imperial agents, who begin preparing a coordinated assault on the New Republic, seeing in the small being their opportunity to destroy the enemies of the Empire in a single strike. Whew! All right, that was a lot to read. Crap. I was like foaming at the mouth and everything, swallowing some nose hairs. So, hey, listen, if this is legit, I kind of dig it. It changes what I thought this was going to be about. You know, Din and Grogu just going out and doing random missions and maybe getting caught up in something with Rhoda the Hutt. But it sounds now like it is at least going to turn into more of a struggle between the New Republic and the Empire, which I dig, because I also read recently that this movie is now confirmed through Favreau. It is going to help kind of set some things up in Ahsoka Season 2. So with that knowledge in tow, then yeah, you definitely have to feature New Republic v Empire to see what's going on there. And, you know, hold on. Oh, this is disgusting. Sorry. You know, will Thrawn be involved? Is he going to be one of the Imperials that kind of picks up on Grogu's new powers from this relic? What could this relic be? Will it be a live action holocron? Is it going to be something else? Like, I don't know, some sort of pendant, a charm? Who knows? But the fact that Grogu is once again going to become the target of the Empire, I don't know. It's kind of retread, but like I said, I appreciate that the Empire is going to be heavily involved in this movie and hopefully paint a better picture for what we can expect in Ahsoka Season 2. Hold on, I got to try to get this nose hair out of my throat. If anyone has ever had this, you know what I'm talking about. It's disgusting. Oh! Whew! It's like all of a sudden my nose is just starting to leak. You can even hear it. I'm getting a little nasally here. Yeah, so right here in the stream, some of my buddies, they're picking up on what I'm saying here. It does seem like this synopsis completely glazes over the Hutt stuff. So maybe that stuff we see in the trailer is truly just to get intel on this Imperial facility. I think we've seen the Imperial facility in the trailer. Grogu and Mando, they're kind of scoping it. Then we see them inside with Zeb. So yeah, it's like, does the New Republic want this relic? Do they just randomly find it? I don't know, but I like this synopsis if it is true. It does, like I said, allow for more brushstrokes on the Mandoverse canvas to take place before Ahsoka Season 2. So I'm down with that, if you know what I mean. I really wish my nose would stop running. It's kind of gross. I need a cough button. All right, so that's that. got that little news recapped for you. The only other thing that might be worth noting here is that Claudia Black, who played Mother Clothal in Ahsoka Season 1, she is not going to be back in Season 2. She has been recast. So if you're a big Claudia Black fan, then boo-hoo. She's not going to reprise her role. So there's that in a bag of chips. Okay. So one more little dealio here before we get into the main segment of talking about Anakin v. Vader and all that type of stuff. What is all this crap? I got a bunch of random stuff on my computer I do not remember downloading. Oh, now I know. Okay. Anyways, hold on. I forgot to get a graphic up here. I just got to get that squared away. All right. There you go. That's a tease, by the way. That's a tease if you're on the live stream. We'll be there. We'll be there, guys. Good job, Gemini, on copywriting that image. I dig it, if you know what I mean. There you go. Yeah. League saying Claudia Black is a badass. Her role was so small, I'm not mad. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not. Kramer, she was one of the three mothers that Thrawn worked with on Peridia. The hot one, if you will. So, before I get into the main topic of who is stronger, who is more powerful, Anakin at his peak or Vader, you know me. I love collecting Star Wars stuff. It's a sickness. I've got way too much money involved. I revealed last week how much I'm already in debt to Sideshow just this year. It's over $5,000. But every year I also keep my eye on the latest Star Wars Columbia collab because it's always pretty rad. You know, there's always a hoodie, some form of jacket, footwear, hat, t-shirt, half zip, maybe vest here or there, you name it. So I've been waiting for this one, and we usually know what they are by now. You know, you're usually doing the ordering early December. But lo and behold, we finally got the reveal today. And this year's theme, as you can see if you're on the live stream, is Endor. And the marketing's pretty cool. If you were on your socials today, you probably saw the video from the Star Wars accounts where they brought in Billy Lord, who is Carrie Fisher's daughter, a.k.a. Princess Leia, to kind of kick off this new collab. But when I went to the actual collection, I was disappointed. I usually have to temper myself this time every year when we get the Columbia collab. This year is going to be pretty easy. It's not going to be like last year when I think I spent almost $1,000 on the Vader collection. Big surprise. I love Vader. He's my guy. But looking at this Endor collection, let's just scroll through some of this. Like I'm a bit dumbfounded at the direction Columbia took this year. I mean, I think the best way to explain this, if you're not looking at the images, is to essentially say that Columbia teamed up with Star Wars to make cosplay for rebels on Endor. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it looks like. I mean, right here, we've got Endor ponchos, $400, and it looks like the ponchos Luke and Leia wore in the movie Return of the Jedi. But who's going to wear this around town? I would only wear, I mean, it's literally a poncho with like a belt and a hood. There's kind of the like Han's poncho color and then Luke and Leia's poncho color. Those are $400 a piece. We've got cargo jackets, which, I mean, they look okay, but it's like they got these massive pockets on the front. So if you're a little guy like me, it would look kind of weird. There's the Han Solo trench for $600. Again, who's going to wear this? Like, it would be a really nice trench coat if it wasn't camouflage. Like, I don't see the practicality in this year's collection. I mean, this jacket right here, the reversible jacket, sure, I could get down with that, but I got a Vader jacket next year, so no need. Same thing with the vest. My Vader jacket turns into a vest, so I don't need this vest this year. Plus, I don't like all the pockets. The pullover I will get. I get the hoodie every year at minimum. I just have to. You got to collect them all, like they say. You just got to. I think I'm going to go with the beige version. but I kind of like the pullover, even though it's pretty plain. We got a boot, don't need it. Got a Vader boot last year. Blanket, I'm never going to spend $100 on a blanket. This kid's Ewok fleece jacket, might be picking this one up for the little one if she'll commit to wearing it, but it is awesome. I mean, it essentially makes your kid look like Wicket, and it's got nub printed on the back hood. It's pretty badass. But that's that. I mean, I've considered the pants maybe, but even then it's like, why do I need a $130 pair of pants that have a Rebel insignia on them? I don't know. We'll see. But I just want to let everyone know it's out there. If you are a Columbia member, you get 30 minutes early access on December 11th, I believe, at 9:30 East. So go ahead and mark your calendars. But like I said, this is a year, if you miss out, you're probably not really missing out. I'll be surprised if this collection sells out like all the other ones do very quickly. So there you go. I've got you set on the Endor collection. Hey there, welcome. What was that? Trikuza 23. Yeah, the Ewok thing for little kids, like, that's a no-brainer. I mean, they've got ones for tiny tots. Like, the ones for tiny tots are amazing. Look at that little kid. It's like, it is a full-on Ewok costume. I mean, you just paint their face, they're ready for Halloween, they're ready to go to bed, it doesn't matter. And the jacket's pretty radical as well. So I'm with you there, Trikuza 23. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into the big debate there. Sorry, I'm getting paged again. All right. I know I'm giving you some dead air, and that is illegal in broadcasting. All right, people, it's time for the meat of this episode. Look at that graphic. I still don't know how Google Gemini gets away with this type of stuff. I mean, it is a direct rip of Hayden Christensen's face and the Darth Vader character, but I'm not complaining. I'm not an artist. Sometimes I need to whip up custom graphics, and this is an easy way to do it. So I'm sorry, people out there. And yeah, I do, at this point in time, because of certain people in charge, feel like AI is getting a little out of control, even though I'm still trying to embrace it. But anyways, here we are. It's time to discuss this week's main segment. Was Anakin Skywalker at his Jedi peak more powerful than Darth Vader after his fall? Or did the transformation unlock something entirely different? Okay, think about it. Anakin, the chosen one, had the most Force juice ever, even more than Master Yoda. We saw what he did in the Clone Wars, both the animated series and what we got in live action. The dude truly was a boss. He was talked about by all his seniors about how great he was, how skilled he was. I mean, you gotta remember, in I think Revenge of the Sith, he's only, 21 maybe, 21, 22. And he was already more powerful than his master and approaching the levels of Yoda. And that power would have just kept growing if he never stunted himself with his fall. Then you have Vader, who kneecapped due to the suit, so he had physical limitations that Anakin would not have. But as Vader, Anakin was finally able to channel his focus into his hate, which fueled his rage, therefore his power. And we know Vader, especially in Legends, comic book stories and whatnot, and most recently in the Kenobi series, we know the dude can flex, all right? I mean, he is a walking tank. He's damn near indestructible. He even in that suit, if he's getting fucked up, it's still going to keep him alive. So that's what we're going to kind of look at here. Now, I'm going to come at it from kind of 4 angles here. You know, first we'll just talk about, was Vader truly weaker than Anakin, or was it just kind of different? Meaning you can't really compare the two. So, you know, in canon, we know Anakin pre-Mustafar, pre his fall to the dark side. Well, I'm still even Anakin on Mustafar when he was Lord Vader. That's still the guy we're talking about here. I mean, like I said, he had the highest raw force potential of any Jedi on record, even greater than Yoda. He had amazing reflexes, precognition. His physical speed was unmatched. I mean, at his peak during the Clone Wars, he was essentially a moving blur on the battlefield. He was impossible to hit in lightsaber combat. His emotional instability definitely did lower his control, but it raised his raw output. I mean, look what he was able to do in his second duel with Dooku. You know, Dooku thought he was going to play with a little mouse again, and Anakin's like, no, you're not. I might still be unstable, but my emotions, I'm learning how to kind of channel them more into raw power, something that obviously Darth Vader perfected. You know, some have described, I don't know if this was Lucas or the novelization of Rots, but Anakin's duel with Dooku in Revenge of the Sith, it was described as a star going nova. And yeah, that is a lot of power. So I do believe Anakin Skywalker, even as Lord Vader without the suit, was extremely powerful, and his potential was essentially limitless. I mean, we'll get to, hey, what if he never fell? Would he have been able to do certain things? And yes, I 100% believe so. The thing with Anakin, though, is like you never knew what those emotions were going to do. Was he going to be too caught up thinking about Padme, or was he going to kind of let that anger in and fuck up his focus so he couldn't grow on the light side? All right, so yeah, I think Anakin was pretty freaking strong before he got chopped up and needed his suit. All right. But the same can be said for Darth Vader. I mean, let's be real. Even canon Darth Vader. So this is post the battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's all chopped up. He is in the walking iron lung. So he has lost mobility. He has lost his speed. He has lost his ability for fine force control. You know, he could never do lightning after he got slapped in that suit. His cybernetic limbs definitely reduced his connection to the Force. And this is something from George Lucas himself. So that right there, you're like, okay, well, he can be as strong as Anakin would have been, or as powerful as Anakin would have been if Anakin stayed on the light. The suit itself degraded his power. But did it? I mean, you know, the armor kept him in constant pain. It made him susceptible to electrical attacks, short outs. We've seen this. I mean, both getting hit by Palpatine's lightning and ultimately killing him, and in some of the comics where, you know, his suit can be shorted out and he can become quite vulnerable. But the thing with Vader is he began to focus that power. So his power became more focused and it grew in strength that way. He wasn't as explosive, nimble, quick as he was as Anakin. Anakin? Who the hell's Anakin? That's the bootleg version of Anakin Skywalker. That's who we're going to use if we ever, you know, want to create our own Star Wars film. Super Scoundrel. Oh, you were Tricuza 23? Yeah, you're good. If you were Tricuza, yeah, you were fixed now, my friend. Good to see you. And I answered your question, by the way. All right. So when it comes down to, you know, canon Vader, canon Anakin, yes, canon Vader is weaker than peak Jedi Anakin in just pure raw force potential and physical capabilities, but Vader made up for that with his mastery of the dark side and his anger, his ruthlessness, and his tactical precision. So I think what we can say about kind of evaluating this debate from this angle is that Anakin was more like a comet, where Vader is more like a slow-moving nuke. Both extremely powerful in their own rights, but I think from this angle, I would still probably give the edge to Anakin. I think a comet, especially a big-ass one, is going to do way more damage than a slow-moving nuclear strike. All right, so the other angle I kind of wanted to approach this from was just sticking with Vader in particular. Because if you think about it, we don't have a lot on Anakin, because by the time he was in his early 20s, he is no more. He doesn't exist. He's in his robotic suit, if you will. So I kind of wanted to pit Vader against some of the top tier Force users of his era. So we're talking Palpatine, we're talking Obi, we're talking Yoda. So when it comes to Obi-Wan, we know through canon, Obi-Wan could beat Anakin as Anakin, like not Vader Anakin. And that's because Anakin knew his flaw in his style. He knew he was arrogant. He knew he was cocky. He that's why he lured him to the higher ground and took him out. But Vader does become stronger than that version of Anakin on Mustafar. He wasn't as fast to kind of keep up with Obi-Wan now that he was in his suit, but he had more raw power, some more like broad stroke type of power. And we can't really look at Vader's victory over Old Ben on the Death Star because let's be real, Obi-Wan surrendered. He wanted that to happen. So you can't really say Vader kicked his ass there either. Now in Legends, Vader is on record mentioning that he is still a bit hesitant to go after Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan specializes in the neutralization of aggressive duelists. And we kind of saw that play out in the Kenobi series. I mean, Vader definitely had the upper hand, kicked the shit out of him, but his aggression led him to believe that he won. He walked away, and then Obi-Wan came back and got the upper hand and won. So, Vader, as Anakin, even as Vader, lost to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's kind of a strike in my mind against Vader's overall power. Now, we could also give a strike to Anakin because he lost to Obi-Wan as well. But you remember, that was unstable Anakin, young Anakin. He still was not at his peak Jedi powers yet. He had many more years to get there. I mean, do you think Yoda was as powerful as he was when he was in his 20s as he was in his 800s? No. So Anakin would have got stronger and probably so strong that even Obi-Wan's quickness and knowledge of Anakin's faults wouldn't have mattered. So against Obi-Wan, I think I still give the power to Anakin. So when we look at Yoda, let's take it from a canon perspective here. Yoda, throughout the Clone Wars, was definitely stronger than Anakin. Just think about all the centuries of training he's had. I mean, it wasn't even close. I think you give Anakin another few years, 5, 10, he could start matching Yoda, if not surpassing him. But as his time, when he was Anakin the Jedi, Yoda was definitely stronger than Anakin. And the same with Vader. Vader never even gets close to Yoda's agility levels or his ability with telekinesis, the more skilled force powers. So, and if you think how Yoda was still one of the only force users in the galaxy that Sidious feared, you have to argue, at least for Jedi Anakin in his 20s and Vader, Yoda was still more powerful. So he kind of beats both of them there. But then you look at Palpatine. In canon, again, Vader never surpasses his master. I mean, he cannot break free of him until his son comes back and coax him out of it in Return of the Jedi. Vader was always weaker than his master, was never going to get stronger. I mean, Sidious repeatedly, especially in comics, would tease Anakin, berate Vader about how Anakin could have become stronger than him, but Vader no longer can. It was almost like a welcome gift for Sidious to get a broken Anakin Skywalker versus the full-fledged Anakin, because there's a good chance if Anakin again was allowed to progress without his suit limitations, who knows how much raw power he would have been able to amass. And so, sticking with Palpatine, if you've read some of the comics or old Legends, I mean, like I said, he treats Vader like a bitch. He thinks he's crippled, he's useless, he's always testing him. But he was still the best option for Sidious. He was still the strongest dark side warrior alive outside of himself. But also in Legends, even with his boss throwing shit at him left and right, trying to kill him to make him more angry, Vader rejected all of his assassination attempts. I mean, he took out the Inquisitors, Star Killer from, the Force Unleashed video game. So while Vader, power-wise, was never going to surpass Sidious, he was still pretty damn strong. But I still question, if he was not in that damn suit, if he was still Anakin, he would be way stronger. All right, so kind of the next angle here. So we kind of discussed just straight up Vader being weaker than Anakin, compared some canon legend examples. Then we kind of stacked them up against powerful Force users of their time. Now let's just kind of look at some of Vader's most insane feats that we get from canon or legends. I mean, canon, we finally got to see Legends Vader, if you will, in the Kenobi series. I mean, he's catching starships mid-flight. He pulls them down, rips them open with one spread of his arms. He's dragging, citizens out of their homes and choking them without even looking at them. He, what he was able to do to Obi-Wan Kenobi before Kenobi got his juice back. One battle, he just beat the tar out of him, then was dragging him through fire. This guy, he survives being stabbed, shot, burned, electrocuted. I mean, his durability is insane, both through his force powers and his anger, but also the suit. The suit was, like I said, it was a walking iron lung. It was meant to keep him alive. All right, so I mean, the guy, when he fought Reva, just toyed with her, humiliated her, both with force mastery and his saber skills. We've seen him take out entire squads without breaking a sweat. He's taken out plenty of Jedi masters. I mean, especially in the legend sides, like Eno Cordova from Jedi Fallen Orders, things like that. So we always got the more powerful version of Vader in legends or comics versus canon. That's why the Kenobi series, say what you will, at least we finally got to see some of this just insanely powerful Vader action on screen. So, if you think about this guy, I mean, he's a tank. Like, he's got tank level durability, and he can pretty much survive anything thrown at his way outside of, as we learned by Return of the Jedi, the love of his son, which, it's touching. You know what I mean? So here's some other legends feats from Vader just to help you think about his power level versus Anakin, or what Anakin would have become if he never got chopped up. But I mean, this guy essentially survived a planetary explosion. Like, an entire facility blows up and he just walks out. No big deal. He's pulled down entire mining rigs with a snap of a finger. He's wiped out entire battalions, both on the ground and in the air. It doesn't matter. He can mind control like a mofo. He took over a Verminoth, rode a Verminoth, killed a Verminoth. I mean, you don't just do that unless you are super duper strong. I believe, and some of you Legends people have to correct me here if I'm wrong, but I think he also was able to use some of his mind control power on Zizor's assassin, even Zizor himself. Vader, I think this is maybe from a Force Unleashed tie-in, but the dude was able to hold back black hole level gravity weapon. Pretty impressive, pretty powerful. Makes a strong case for Vader being the powerful version of his dual self, Anakin Skywalker. The guy has been poisoned. He was able to resist that through his just power, rage, and discipline. He took on all those Starkiller clones in the Force Unleashed that the Emperor was trying to use to take him out. So, I mean, any Sith cults that popped up, Inquisitors that fronted on him, dark side cults, he would call them all. So, as Vader, I mean, listen, he focused his pain, his rage into pure ultimate power. But you got to remember, he was limited to that. He lost all the other skills that would have come to him if he wasn't in that suit. So that's why I still have to contend. In my heart of hearts, I still lean towards Anakin if he was allowed to become peak Anakin, be it Jedi or dark side, would have blown the suit-wearing Vader out of the water. So the key themes with Vader in Legends is that the dude could be injured, but due to his rage and discipline and dark side focus, he became one of the most powerful Force users ever. That's no doubt there. I'm not denying Vader's power when we compare him to all Force users. Remember, we're focused on his alter ego, Anakin. All right, so the last angle to kind of come at this debate I have is, could Anakin have defeated Sidious if he stayed on the light side? So this is a, kind of a what if thing here. What if Anakin never fell to the dark side and was allowed to keep growing in the light side of the Force? So, just from a canon perspective, Lucas said if Anakin had stayed on the light, he would have become twice as powerful as the Emperor. So when you got the Maker saying that type of shit, that's kind of a feather in Anakin's cap for being more powerful than Vader overall. Now, like I know there's an asterisk there next to it. There's a star. This is a what if, but this is what we do on the internet these days when there's no current Star Wars to cover. Even the Jedi Order, just when he was 10 years old, believed he was the chosen one destined to destroy the Sith. That just brings an air of power to this character. Obi-Wan believed Anakin could surpass even Yoda. That speaks volumes about Anakin's power potential. And Yoda even himself in canon admits that Anakin's potential is unique. Now, he was cautious of it, but it was unique and powerful. So, when it comes down to it, Anakin at full potential equals a Sidious killer. And I know he ultimately does, pretends at this point kill Sidious, but full potential Anakin could easily take out the greatest and the most powerful Sith of all time in Sidious. I think that is I can say without feeling like a jerk off. Even in Legends, you pick up on that Sidious was starting to kind of fear Anakin's growing power. Apparently, he even accelerated Order 66 because he foresaw Anakin's strength growing too fast and kind of needed to kneecap the Jedi Order and get him away from them. I mean, Anakin just had a style that was raw aggression, which would have been a perfect counter to Sidious's more finesse type of combat powers. So, yes, even Legends Anakin, there's support that he could have taken out Sidious if fully trained as a Jedi. All right, let me take a break talking here because I'm getting a little lightheaded. Hey, Mando Pirates coming in here, dropping a little comment in the live stream chat. If you want to join live streams or even the instant premieres where we're going to have the live stream chat going, we do this every Wednesday, 6 p. East, or as close as we can get, youtube.com/, for now, Star Wars Time Show. So Mando Pirate saying, hey, he should have focused on his training instead of getting ass from Padme. Well, like my co-host Young Nick has said, if you really want to break it down, Padme is the ultimate reason the galaxy fell. It had nothing to do with the Jedi's hubris, nothing to do with Anakin, nothing to do with Sidious himself. It was all Anakin and that peach. You know what I mean? League chiming in, no ass, no twins. I like that. Now you got me thinking about her ass in that white suit from Attack of the Clones. Natalie Portman, you are a beauty. Super Scoundrel saying, can't blame him for that. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's tough. I think we all would have done the same thing. It's like, be the best Jedi ever and save the galaxy, or get to love Natalie Portman and become a dark side shill. So I dig that one. Let's reload the let's reload one of the chats here. We got the old chat crash. We haven't had a chat crash in a while, so that's good. It's good to have one. Luckily, they have happened before, so I know how to fix it pretty quickly. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. All right. So back to the discussion here. Could Anakin have defeated Sidious? So yeah, I think it's pretty clear if he was left alone by Padme, wasn't focused on tapping that ass, he could have kept building up his light side power and ultimately surpassed Yoda, Sidious, all of them, and become a Jedi God. All right. So, I'm going to get into some final verdict options here. Obviously, I worked with my AI partner here, and we were kind of spitballing some different ways to kind of bring this segment home and give you my ultimate verdict on who is more powerful, Anakin or Vader. So, one thing to think about here is Anakin had the highest potential the galaxy had seen in thousands of years. Vader definitely lost some of that potential, but the dark side forged what remained into something terrifying and unstoppable in practice. So Anakin equals explosive with limitless potential, where Vader equals unstoppable will, mastery, and focus, but limited potential. So really, if you want to play both sides here, you could just say, who's stronger? Well, it depends on what you value. Potential strength or actualized power? And it's a good question to ask, because like I said, a lot of stuff we're saying here about Anakin, it's like, if he was able to do this, if he was able to finish his training, if he stayed on the light side. He didn't. So if you want to just get real, Anakin as he was before he turned into Vader probably did not reach the levels of power that Vader did. But if we're playing the game of Anakin reaching his full Jedi potential, I think it's clear Anakin wins this debate. Mando Pirate with another good one. Ass leads to the dark side. Ass leads to anger. Ass leads to suffering. Okay, so let's go through a full... I've got a few final verdict options for you all to process here. And then I'm going to get some unpopular verdict options for you all. And then we'll wrap this show with our fan segment. All right. So final verdict here. Anakin was stronger, but Vader was scarier. We can kind of wrap the debate about that. So again, if we're talking about pure power, raw potential, and the ceiling of what each version of Skywalker could become, the answer is clearly Anakin Skywalker. All right, he had the highest midichlorian count ever recorded. He was near perfect in his force reflexes and powers, and he had the kind of intuitive power that made even Yoda uneasy. But, there's kind of a twist to that. If we're talking about overall effectiveness, the cold, brutal, weaponized form of that potential, then Darth Vader becomes the scarier figure. Vader lost his mobility and huge chunks of his connection to the Force, but what survived was refined into something quite singular, absolute focus and unrelenting will. Anakin was more like a wildfire, where Vader was a controlled burn that could melt Durasteel. So the verdict for this option is Anakin was more powerful, but Darth Vader was more dangerous. What do we think about that? All right, here's final verdict option number 2. The tragedy. We never saw the real Anakin. So again, if Anakin had stayed Jedi, the galaxy would have witnessed a being who surpassed Yoda, Dooku, Windu, and eventually Sidious himself. So he was meant to become the greatest Force user of the era, maybe any era, all time. Instead, we ended up with Darth Vader, who, again, was a tragic character because Vader was operating at maybe 20 to 30% of Anakin's potential. But he turned that small fraction of potential into becoming one of the most unstoppable forces in Star Wars history. We cannot deny that. So again, my take on this verdict option is the version of Anakin we were meant to see never existed. The version of Vader we got was the maximum possible output of that broken man. Anakin had the sky, but Vader owned the ground, if you feel me. So if we're choosing who had the higher ceiling, again, it's going to be Anakin. But if we're choosing who actually maximized what they had, it is Darth Vader, because we never got to see Anakin maximize his potential as a light side Force user because he took the easy way out and bent the knee to get some of that pussy, as Mando Pirate has been saying. All right, final verdict option number 3. 2 different beings, two different metrics. All right, this debate only feels like a who's stronger question when really Anakin and Vader represent two opposite philosophies of power. Anakin's power was more expansive, explosive, emotional, and unlimited, but unstable. Vader's power, on the other hand, was concentrated. It was disciplined. It was oppressive, but it was limited, but perfected. So instead of asking who's stronger, the real debate, the real question becomes, what kind of strength are we talking about? If it's agility, speed, force connection, and maximum potential, again, Anakin wins. But if it's durability, intimidation, mastery under pressure, sheer destructive output, we got to give it to Darth Vader. So here, Anakin Skywalker was the most powerful Jedi the Order ever produced, while Darth Vader was the most dominant enforcer the Sith ever unleashed. So they're not two versions of the same fighter, they're two different power sets born from the same soul. I know I'm spitting some deep shit at you, my friends. Hopefully it's sinking in and it doesn't sound insane, but we like to get philosophical with this shit over here, if you know what I'm talking about. All right. So let's go for some of the more unpopular takes on this debate. Straight up, Vader was overrated. All right. Darth Vader was never as powerful as the myth around him. The armor didn't upgrade him. The dark side didn't unlock some new tier. If anything, Vader is the galaxy's greatest downgrade. Ooh, I feel so bad saying that to my man. You know, the Force didn't become stronger when Anakin fell. It became more narrow. It was more brutal, that's for sure, when the way Vader wielded it. It was more controlled, that is definite. But it was never greater than what Anakin could have experienced. You know what I mean? The Emperor didn't fear Vader, but he feared Anakin Skywalker. And I think that tells you everything right there. I mean, the guy, the greatest Sith of all time, was like, yeah, Anakin, if that guy achieves his true potential, I'm fucked. This guy in the suit that I made, by the way, to make sure he felt like shit all the time, no problem. I can take him out lickety split. I can rip those legs right off. I can rip his arms off. I can, take his control panel out. No problem whatsoever. So Vader is a product of what happens when the most powerful Jedi alive becomes limited, broken, and angry. And even then, he still never truly reaches the heights that he was meant to. We know this. We know this. So it's a tragedy. The tragedy is Vader is impressive not because he's strong, but because he's strong even after losing everything. So Anakin was the real threat. He was. Come on. You Vader people out there, I mean, listen, Vader's my guy. I think ultimately I like Vader better than Anakin, even though I consider them to be the same character. But in the end, Anakin was the real threat, meaning he was more powerful. He was stronger. All right, here's another potentially unpopular take. Anakin would have destroyed Sidious and possibly the Jedi Order too. So, a lot of us fans, we like to imagine that the light side version of Anakin would have essentially become this perfect hero, almost like a Force Jesus, although we know who Force Jesus is. Hello there, right? So that was a bad comparison. But here's the unpopular truth, if you will. If Anakin did reach his full potential, nobody, not Sidious, not Yoda, not his son, not Obi-Wan, would have been able to stop him. He would have been an unstoppable Force user. He would have had the power of a demigod. I mean, he might have become one of the Mortis gods. I mean, they asked him to, right? We knew this. This is not, I'm not like talking out of my butthole here. He would have achieved almost demigod-like power. But the problem is he would have had all this power, godlike power, with the emotional stability of a pressure cooker. And that's dangerous. So if you think about Anakin, when he was a Jedi. Like I said, he was in his early 20s, 21, 22, 23 at most. The Jedi Order could barely handle him then. Imagine him in his 30s. Imagine him in his 40s, right? The power would have just kept growing and growing and growing. And if he never got those emotions under control, who knows? Maybe he would have done something crazy to those, kind of getting in his way. So, when we think about it this way, the Chosen One wasn't meant to be balanced. He was meant to be overwhelming. Anakin could have destroyed Sidious, but he might have destroyed the Jedi by accident en route to doing so. So that's a little bit of a twist on the prophecy if you think about it. All right, and my the last potentially unpopular verdict here. Legends Vader was basically a Sith super weapon, and canon nerfs him. And I think anyone that's read comics or some of the old stuff that had Vader in it can agree with this. I mean, if you only know canon Vader, he definitely looks slower. He's way more mechanical. He's more grounded. But if you're exposed to the Legends Vader, he's literally a walking force cataclysm. He crushes star trips. He tanks explosions. He wipes out entire armies by himself, both on the ground and in the air. He can survive black hole level gravity super weapons. I mean, that to me speaks volumes about his popular. So this might be an unpopular take, but canon Vader is a fraction of what Vader used to be or could have been. A lot of, even George himself, the creator, kind of nerfed him. So maybe that's how it was supposed to be, to show that, while he was an amazing walking or slow moving nuke, he still was kind of eventually capped. He had a power cap, if you will. So if you're judging Anakin versus Vader off canon alone, you're just not getting the full story of Vader's ultimate power. Because Legends Vader is the monster that fans tend to think that the canon version is. And really, if it weren't for what we got in the Kenobi series, we'd still only have very limited canon live-action Vader, and he could barely fight with his lightsaber. I mean, he was just like, hey, whack, 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 Luke, whack, 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 Luke, whack, whack. You know what I mean? So there's that. All right, so here we go. I'll give you my final verdict here, and it might upset both sides of this debate, but that's why I do what I do. We're trying to elicit reactions. I know I'm not getting a ton here because I'm with family, if you will, but maybe once these start getting clipped and going out there to the internet at large, people will tell me how stupid I am. But all right, here we go. So when it comes down to it, I do believe Anakin Skywalker was the strongest force sensitive of his era. But Darth Vader is the one who actually became what Anakin feared he might turn into. So Anakin had the unlimited potential, but he never mastered it, where Vader had limited potential, but he maximized every brutal ounce of that potential. So if Anakin is supposed to represent what the Force intended, Vader represents what the Force allowed after the galaxy broke him. So, who is more powerful? If we're talking about what was possible, I'm sticking with Anakin. He wins by a mile. I've been kind of teasing that throughout this debate. But if we're talking about what was actually realized in canon, Vader wins. Because, I mean, he's the only one who ever committed to just being a weapon. Of course, it was a dark side weapon, but he did it well. Murdered thousands. So that's what it comes down to. That's kind of the tragedy of the Chosen One at the end of this debate. The galaxy never got the hero it needed, but it sure did learn to fear the monster that it created. So I believe, potential-wise, Anakin was always going to be more powerful, more or stronger. But what we actually got in canon with Vader, he definitely took what he had and ran with it and became quite the impressive force power of his time. All right, so hopefully you all kind of dug that. It was a little new. I know you probably saw me looking at notes. I didn't have a kind of cue cards up here, so I had to kind of look over. I think I did all right. I'm kind of used to looking at bullet points and then running with it. It may or may not be my actual career, but that was kind of fun. I kind of like that. So hopefully the rest of you did. But it doesn't matter because it's over, and now it's time to close out this episode of the Star Wars Time Show with the fan segment. We do it every week. 2 ways to get involved if you are into creating stuff, content, whatever, art, whatever you want to call it. Make sure to hit us up on Instagram at StarWarsTime.show. Use our hashtag Star Wars Time Show, but more importantly, do add tag at StarWarsTime.show. That's the list we will pull through to feature the top 5 artists of the week during the fan segment. But first, the other way to get involved is our question of the week poll. So we'll put it out again on the socials, Discord, YouTube, wherever you'll find it if you want to. And we ask you a question that is themed to this week's main topic. So naturally, this week's question was asking the fans what they thought about this debate. Who is more powerful? Who is more powerful between these two? Oh, now the buttons want to work. Great. All right, so let's see what they had to say. We did not have a lot of responses, which is fine because the show is definitely running a bit long. You just think it, one dude is going to talk for an hour and a half straight. I don't know if that's good or bad or if it's entertaining, but the fact that I never have to pause and it's just me talking means I have some sort of disorder, I think. Anyways, here's our question of the week. Who was stronger, Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader? Like I said, we had very minimal responses here, but here we go. All right, let me fix this screen real quick. You gotta love one. I really need a producer. The problem is, it's like we can't really pay anyone a living wage, but it would be great to have a producer that could do all this bullshit so I could just focus on being a host. Howard Stern doesn't have to do all this shit. All right, here we go. We got Veer_Melior1. Anakin lost to an 80-year-old man. Vader killed a Suma Verminoth. I'm still trying to figure out who the 80-year-old man is that Anakin lost. Oh, Dooku. Okay, in Attack of the Clones. I got it. Okay, I got it. Yeah, all right. So Mando's Pirates saying this episode would have been better if Nick was here. Probably, but hey, I had my AI companion. So Veer Melior, like I said, Anakin lost to an 80-year-old man. I believe he's talking to Dooku and AOTC. Maybe not fair because I was still young Padawan Anakin. And then he said Vader killed a Suma Verminoth. Yeah, that's pretty impressive, like I said. I'm pretty sure he also rode one into Exegol to take on the Emperor. Hey, then we got our league in here, League of Extraordinary Sixers, saying Darth Vader, while basically a robot, he had more control over his emotions by the end. Therefore, his evil deeds were more calculated and exacting. As opposed to Anakin Skywalker, an emotionally stunted child, his deeds were more reactive to those emotions. Pretty fucking good there, League. I think I said as much in some of my verdict options there. Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, what we got, Anakin had that potential, would have been more powerful, but Vader took his limited potential and became as powerful as you could get. So it was a fun little debate. Thanks for participating, fans. Like I said, if you want to get mixed up in the question of the week, just make sure to follow us on our socials. We're on Instagram, YouTube, naturally, Discord. We got an open invite. I think we're on Twitter. I don't really pay attention to that one as much, but you know the drill. Get involved. All right, so now we're going to close things out with this week's Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. All right, we do it every week. It's quite fun to honor the creative community out there. Let me go ahead and get my screens fixed as usual. You got to love this shit. You got to love it when technology hates your guts. Okay, here we go. So let's check out this week's top 5. I chose them. Nick will choose them next week. So whenever we do a pre-record, Nick chooses the top 5. I choose them on live weeks. So here we go. We got some good ones to check out here, my friends. Up first, we've got not that. We've got, there we go. Hey, I think we were even talking about this a little bit. It's the high ground scene. And I'm going to tell you right now, I hope Toyverse Rick is listening to this. This is probably not one of, it may be the greatest recreation of the high ground scene using Black Series figures I've ever seen. And I will say the Obi-Wan and Anakin repainted Revenge of the Sith figures are glorious. I got to stay away from whatever it was, or the 112 scale. I just can't. I can't do it. I've moved to 1/6. They're super expensive. I can't get back in the little ones. But my God, what Toyverse Rick did with this shot is absolutely amazing. I have so many questions. I mean, is this a diorama? Is this, are we doing some photoshopping here? Are we using some Gen AI to come up with the background? It just looks super crisp. You got Anakin, standing on that robot pad in the lava river. You got Obi-Wan up top kind of doing like, come on, don't do it. I got the high ground. It's just it's a perfect fucking shot with toys. I mean, I love this one. I'd love to hang this one in SWTS HQ for sure. So again, this comes from Toyverse Rick on Instagram, all one handle. It is an excellent shot. Up next, as Nick always says, hey, I like it. It's like the top 5 are kind of matching up with some of the characters I was riffing on for the Vader debate. But we got a great shot here of a meditating Yoda. And this is Hobo Yoda. Hoda, as we like to call him. And this one comes from Nilla Gorilla _13 on the gram. And it's a great outdoor shot. We got looks like some smoke going on there. And you got Yoda sitting on a log meditating. And it looks great. I mean, the eyes are closed. He's deep in focus. He's not wearing his robe, so he's kind of chilling. He's showing off that broad chest that little motherfucker has. I mean, he looks great. I think this is just a fantastic capture of Master Yoda from Nilla Gorilla _13 on the gram. Really dig it. Great work here. Sometimes you don't need jazzy looking backgrounds or whatnot. Take it out in the backyard, get some good lighting, add in a little, haze, maybe some sparklers, maybe some fireworks, and you can get some fantastic looking shots. So kudos to Nilla Gorilla _13 on Instagram. Up next, we've got RV Toygram, all one word on the gram, with a great shot of General Grievous. And I can't tell the scale of these figures, not that it matters. I think RV usually does 1/6 scale, but it's a great shot. It's like someone's filming from a ship taking off, and Grievous is looking up at it. And it's low lit, but you got this nice light poking from behind Grievous. There's some atmosphere going on. There's clones scattered at his feet. And like I said, it's Grievous. He's looking up like, doing that cough. Just saying, I'll get you next time, something like that. And I don't know, it's just a nice crispy shot of Grievous and the tear he would use to inflict on our clone trooper heroes. So great work here from RV Toygram on Instagram. And coming in with our next selection, our next top 5 hero this week is a fantastic shot. I think this is 1/18 scale. From Toy Realms, all one word on Instagram. Toy Realms, they always put out photography, Star Wars photography that looks like they were there. They were on the battlefield. They were doing a documentary. They're capturing the essence of the Empire's war against the galaxy. So in this shot, you've got the perspective is behind like a platoon of Stormies. And then in front of them is kind of washed out. Great, the pull focus goes to the troopers, which leaves this awesome chicken walker kind of washed out in the background. And there's some nice coloring to this image. Again, there's a good use of atmosphere. It's just a great looking shot. I mean, it really sells the size of an AT-ST versus a trooper unit on the ground. So love this work here from Toy Realms, all one word on the gram. All right, and we're going to close this week's top 5 out. That's right, League. Toy Realms absolutely nailed that shot. I love it. I love her work. She's fantastic. I wish I was in the toy photography community again. I'm like tangentially attached through this stuff, but Haywood Pop posts like 3 times a year these days. And I have a catalog of shots that I could share. I don't know. Just the motivation ain't there. But anyways, let's wrap this one up. This is another excellent Khmer shot, The Stranger, from Mr. Stormtrooper Davis. I featured a similar shot from them a few weeks back in the top 5, and here we are back again. This one, Peace is a Lie. You got the Stranger confronting the Jedi. I mean, it's a full-on scene recreation from The Acolyte. When the Jedi come out and he's just kind of standing there and he whacks half of them down in the snap of a finger. But Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, again, just fantastic lighting. I love the post-processing effects here with the lens flare on the saber and the light coming from the side. There's a great use of atmosphere to really make it feel like a forest setting. I mean, it looks like a full-on forest diorama, so I'm guessing there might be some digirama going on in the background with practical digirama elements in the foreground. It's awesome. I mean, Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, one of the most committed Star Wars toy photographers out there to this day. They're posting almost daily, and it's always quality work. That's the one thing I sometimes like to reflect on. And listen, I'm not sitting here taking credit for shit, but I do feel like I was one of the first people in the toy photography arena way back in like 2014, 15, 16. So it's been 10 years almost of watching some of these accounts start the hobby and grow with it. And, people like Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, it shows you what you can do with a passion, a hobby, if you keep it up. You keep putting time into it. You keep practicing. You look at tips from other photographers that you think are better than you and employ them in your own work. So it's been great watching Mr. Stormtrooper Davis grow throughout the years. And there's a part of me that's like, man, if only I never started Star Wars Time, maybe I would still be doing Star Wars toy photography and having a bigger voice in the community that way than through SWTS. Either way, Mr. Stormtrooper Davis is a must follow on Instagram. All one word. Go check him out. All right, my friends, that does it. I made it. Got through it on my own. Over an hour and a half. I am hungry as hell, so I'm going to go ahead and break for dinner. As always, I always appreciate when people come around and hang out with me on these live streams. Who knows what the show or the channel is going to rebrand into next year, but you can count on it. For now, outside of holidays, you'll be getting at least one episode of the SWTS every week on Wednesday, 6 p. East, or as close as we can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Don't forget, my friends, there's always time for Star Wars Time, even though there might not be that much time for that slogan or that motto if we rebrand. So I'm going to have to figure out a whole new outro that I've been using for the past, 7 years when we started SWTS. But you know what I'm saying, my friends. Keep pumping us up. I always love seeing you interact with our content on socials. Share it with friends. Slap people in the face. Say, hey, will you just listen to these assholes, please? They're not always talking about Star Wars, even though they're called the Star Wars Time Show. You just let them know there is always time. But more importantly, if they listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with them. Away.